Hello, and we've lost Lee straight away. Welcome to the Rangers podcast, Rangers Rabble podcast. I'm Stu, your host tonight. I was also the last-minute host for the pre-match, and I'm supposed to have Lee with me. I'm sure he'll join back in a minute, but I'll introduce Alex first. Alex, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I mean, a good result, so feeling positive.
Yeah, definitely. We are, of course, sponsored by Zenith Coins, and is that Lee there? Can I add him back in? You back, Lee?
Typical, mate, isn't it? Typical. Fucking kicked me right off at the start this time. I'll figure it out for next time. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, so sponsored by Zenith Coins. If you haven't checked out their stuff, guys, please go check them out. They're really, really good. And as I said before, if you watched last night, you could see a sort of close up that Brian showed us. Really, really nice stuff. We're live on Twitter and YouTube, from what I can see. Hopefully, Facebook. So like, subscribe, send all your comments in, because we do get them all, and I'll pull them up throughout the show. And of course, as I always say, if you're on YouTube on your phone, don't forget to just chuck off the live chat just for 2 seconds, hit the like, get the live chat back up, and you're good to go. So if we jump straight in, Rangers 4, St Johnstone 0. I'll start with you, Lee, because I asked Alex just before the game. What were your opinions on the lineup for Rangers today?
We bit disappointed in the fact we went with two shared defensive mids. I feel we showed in Europe against a team, fair enough, they were quite limited, that we only needed one, and that was a game in Europe at home. So we come back to then the league and then see two shared defensive mids starting. I was a wee bit kind of like, I don't think we need it. I can understand it maybe in the sense of we've got a big game against PSV, so we probably need to get minutes into the legs of like Jack, because he could be, really important for games like that, but we will be under the cosh a bit more. But in the end, it didn't really matter the result. I thought even with the two shared defensive mids, probably our best attacking performance of the season so far, so it worked out. But at the start, I was a wee bit iffy, but it worked out, so happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex, we spoke before the show, sort of similar things, but looked like Gio sort of got a spot on today, really.
Yeah, the midfield really worked, and as you'll see, many people, the RTV man of the match ends up going to Ryan Jack. I think the sponsors man of the match goes to Lundstrom, and so clearly they both had a massive impact, and they both did play really well. So it seemed as if, maybe Lawrence could have been in, like I suggested, from the start, but the balance, especially in the midfield, seemed to be really well. And then obviously he comes on later on and does his stuff, but from the start, there wasn't really, it didn't seem to be like somebody missing in midfield. Both Lundstrom and Jack found themselves on the edge of the box numerous amount of times.
Yeah. We'll jump into the game, because obviously that's what we're here for. I thought we started quite quickly, and straight away. 3 minutes in, Tav's played a little dink down to Scott Wright. He just about gets there before it goes off, pulls it across for Colak, who seems to get in front of the defender. He goes down. Does he go down too easily, or do you think we had a case for a penalty there?
I wouldn't say they went down too easy, but I wouldn't say it was a penalty either. I think it's one of those ones where his feet have been a bit too quick for the defender, but there's no enough in it to give a penalty. If it was the other way about, you'd be pretty annoyed if that went against you. I think maybe for the fact it was so early on in the game as well, the referee showed a bit more leniency. He could have given it, but no, for me, I don't think it was a penalty. I think it was good footwork, but nah, not for me.
And Alex, obviously, so much scrutiny on the refs these days. Did he get that one right?
Yeah, I think he got that one right. Kind of the easy call to make. What wasn't like Lee says, I don't think he went down too easy or made the most of it or whatever, but it wasn't a penalty. So.
And there we go. Martin has indeed been found alive and well.
I wouldn't say well.
So yeah, he's been found alive. We can pretty much confirm that. So the game sort of goes on a bit. We're struggling to break down the press early on. We're struggling to break down the low block a little bit early on. St Johnstone hadn't really offered much as we expected, but around the 16-minute mark, Lee Murphy sort of gets away down the left hand side. Puts a deep cross in. It sort of misses Phillips, the Trinidad guy that's come on. It's hit Borna, gone back to Phillips, and I thought it was a goal. What were you thinking?
Second it bounced off Borna. I thought the boy had nestled it in the bottom corner, mate. just a wee bit of a lapse in concentration. I wouldn't even have said it was like kind of commentators were kind of pointing at Barisic in that sense, but I don't think there's really much you can do. Like he sees it last kind of second after Davis misses the ball. If you're going to pin anybody, you would say Davis a bit more at fault, but it's one of those ones, mate. Like we're kind of arguing about it now because it didn't go in, but I wouldn't have said it was much of his fault. It's just kind of went over the top of his head a wee bit. It's bounced off Borna. He's late to react to it, and thankfully we got away with it. But it would have been a bit of a sore one because pretty sure that was their only chance of the game. So,
yeah, I mean, Alex, is it a worry? I mean, look, we want to stay positive, and the game is going to get a lot more positive from here on out. But is it a bit worry that every time a ball comes into our box at the moment, maybe that's where the chances are coming from for other teams?
Yeah, I mean that one especially should be dealt with by Ben Davis. In my opinion, I think he has to deal with it. He doesn't deal with it, and then obviously it hits off Borna. Wrong position, wrong time, and obviously, yeah. In all honesty, the fact that we've not gone 1-0 down right there and then is quite a shocker. It was a big miss from him. So it could be quite worrying if that pattern kind of continues, but we never really, obviously, we never saw it again in the game, and we'll know in the next coming weeks, as the creases start to be ironed out.
Yeah, and from then on, as I say, like we rarely, I thought, under pressure. We didn't create too much after that until about 10 minutes later, 27, 28 minutes. Tillman has a lovely 1-2 with Jack on the edge of the box. He shoots over, but we just started seeing this, just that technical side of Tillman, I thought, around this time, Lee. Just these little passes, intricate passes, and he's always on offer. He's always looking at the right ball. What were you thinking at this time? He was head and shoulders at that moment for me.
Mate, like you're saying, I think he does look head and shoulders above the rest of the players in there. One of the things that I noticed when we were bringing him in, people spoke about how good he was with these progressive passes. These new statistics that everyone speaks about. These progressive passes are fantastic. If I'm traditional in that sense, where I don't really pay attention to that, it's just, can you assist the ball? Can you score a goal? But you could see it. You could see it more as he was playing. Like anytime he had the ball, he was looking to make stuff happen quickly. We've seen it, I think, in the few times we've seen him at Ibrox. Like he's really good at those kind of 1-2 balls, kind of getting the ball away quickly and moving. And I think he's brilliant for that. So I think as the more go on, he's going to get a better understanding of the players as well, and that's only going to improve. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much he does the rest of the season.
Yeah, and Alex, I mean, not long after that, yourself mentioned John Lundstrom. When we talked about Jack and Lundstrom, you talked about Lundstrom getting forward, his ability from the edge of the box. And shortly after, he gets a chance. I think he links up with, is it Jack? But he gets another left shoot, which is becoming a bit of a key thing for Lundstrom, is left-footed efforts, and a good save from the keeper. Did you feel that at this stage it's coming?
It was a lot more dominant at that point. Yeah, I think Rangers seemed to just kind of work into the game. I mean, the first 15 minutes was all Rangers up until that chance from St Johnstone, and I mean, we've seen it before where it just takes one chance for us to become a little bit uneasy. But we got back in control and just breaking them down found a little bit difficult, and something we don't do. We don't break that last line. We don't go for shots from the edge of the box, or we don't often go from shots from the edge of the box. So it was good to have somebody go for a crack, and obviously it turns out to be the goalkeeper makes it look easy anyway to save, but yes, the game from that point just had a little bit more maybe determination from Rangers to then go, yeah, we can put a few past them today.
And Lee, I think pretty much straight after that goal, I think the corner gets cleared. It's played back out to Tav. He hangs a high ball. Actually, it's played out to Wright, I think, and then Wright sort of lays off to Tav. Tav plays a high ball to the back post, and the man we've been talking about all week for this amazing, athleticism and jumping ability. He's up highest and sort of bullets a header into the top corner. Just a great goal. You're surely, delighted that he's done it again.
One of the things I'd like to say for that goal is give credit to Scott Wright, because I feel Scott Wright's a player who we always discuss. Good, like getting to the byline, but his end product can be bad, or his decision making. And I feel in maybe previous games he might have tried to take that to the byline and chip it in, but to get the ball back out to Tav quickly, who we all know is probably the best crosser at the club, to get it up to the back post, I thought was one of those games where a lot of stuff went right for us. Our decision making was a lot better in a lot of times. And let me just say, Tillman, who knew that boy could leap? Did anyone know he could do that before? We signed him. So he was a silky centre attacking mid, mate. No, freaking a salmon, honestly. The boy, but it just, again, you can tell the intelligence of the boy just where times the run perfectly straight to the back post. And it's a bullet header, mate. It's a bullet header off the underside of the bar, which we all know goals that hit the underside of the bar and go in are a lot sweeter. So happy with it, mate. Very good goal for us.
Well, Alex, I mean, Lee sort of stole what I was about to say. I think a lot of us have, looked at his previous games when he was in Germany with Bayern and wherever we could find sort of clips of him. Did you have any ideas that he's got this leap on him, this heading ability?
No, but I don't think. Well, I mean, obviously the one midweek really caught me as a surprise, but I don't think it should come as a surprise because he is so athletic, and you can kind of just see that as soon as he steps on the pitch, and for a big lad, he's very agile, and he's he moves about, he gets to the lines, and his positional awareness is just brilliant. So the ball, obviously he jumps up and it's some header from him, but he has to be in the right position, and that's twice he has been. I mean, he beat the keeper the first time, and then today he goes and scores from one end to the other of the goal. He puts it right across, and the keeper has no chance. So yeah, as Lee calls him a salmon, I'll go for the American Eagle.
I mean, we're going to come on to another point around this next point a bit later. But 37 minutes. Adam Montgomery for St Johnstone. Believe he may be on loan from them. I'm not sure. He overruns the ball, lunges into a tackle on Jack. The ref's given a yellow, but what did you think? Was that okay for a yellow for you there, or could he have seen as much on orders?
Could argue for both. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in the fact that it's one of the ones where he has overrun the ball and he's no lunging in with malice. It's one of those ones where we've all done it ourselves at fives, where poor touch and then you try to recover it and you just lunge into the tackle. If there'd been more of an injury, if he went down in a heap, then we'd probably be screaming for it as a red card. Plus, also the fact that if he is one of them, just give him a red card anyway. Because why not? Because you don't want to see any of them in the pitch. But no, again with the referee, it's I can understand his decision just to give the yellow, but it could have easily been a red because it was a wee bit reckless.
Yeah, and I don't want to concentrate too much on the referee's performance, Alex, but there, just after this, I thought he was just starting to make some odd decisions. I think Scott Wright went on a little run to the edge of the box, sort of knocked it to the side, and he was taken out, and that was no foul. And then it was almost an identical one just up the pitch is then given a foul. When you're seeing some of these decisions, obviously the yellow card's 50-50, but when you're seeing some of these just baffling decisions, is VAR going to be an upgrade? Is it even going to help when the same guys are behind the scenes?
VAR has, for me, VAR has a look at the Montgomery one and probably decides to stick with the yellow just because it's not a clear and obvious error. But apart from that, these little decisions aren't really affected by VAR. It's more the big decisions. And see, to be fair, I mean, in games like today, maybe those little decisions don't affect it too much, but little decisions like that can alter the big games because it only takes one moment. And for whatever reason, had St Johnstone, say, for example, scored from that free kick, and we believe the decision to be wrong or, a lack of consistency, then it does have an impact, but it's not something in those terms anyway that VAR will really change. I mean, it's going to change the actual big decisions. So I think it'll have an impact, but everybody or certain people will expect it to have, a larger impact and the referees under more scrutiny. But yeah, like I say, it's only really going to be for the big decisions and such as your red cards, your handballs, your penalties. Whereas that little stuff like that is going to stay the same because the refereeing standard it will stay the same.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring this point up quickly if I can find it. Kent Misnow is aware for Tuesday. We believe that the word from the club is there isn't an issue with him for Tuesday. He should be back in. But in saying that, I mean, we discussed this on the pre-show, Alex. Do you think if there is no issue, Lee, should he have been in at least on the bench today to get some minutes in the legs?
Yeah, I would have had him on the bench because, like, I think before the game we were speaking about how was it going to be right on Matondo out on the right hand side, and we all kind of expected just Kent to be in purely for the fact that he's one of our best players and he does still need the minutes. On the positive note of that, it's really refreshing to see that a game where we've not even got him in the squad and we've got two strong performances from the wing, especially Matondo. I thought Matondo in the second half was absolutely fantastic. You could see him a wee bit, not even struggling, but trying to make stuff happen in the first half. Just wasn't quite coming off, but I mean, second half he was absolutely amazing. So like, it's not a worry in terms of Kent, purely for the fact that we've found out from the club that he was just rested. Like, if we had been told there'd be a bit of a niggle, then you'd be a bit more worried. But if we have performances of the day from the wingers like we did, then we'd be in good hands anyway.
Yeah. So, Alex, I mean, we start the second half. I think a lot better than not a lot better, but we kept that sort of that press up. I think a lot better in the second half. We moved the ball back to front quickly. Sort of Lundstrom gets a half chance, but around sort of 51 minutes, 5 minutes or so into the second half, we start really seeing Matondo come into his own. He gets the ball out on the left, cuts inside, leaves his man for dead, and loops one that I don't even think the keeper thought was going anywhere near the goal before it absolutely crashes off the crossbar.
Yeah, well, it was some hit. Lundstrom's pass was surreal. It was some ball, and then Matondo takes the touch back inside. Whereas I thought he might just run direct, and obviously he takes the touch back inside and shoots it across the goal. I was almost watching it as to say, it just felt like as soon as it left his boot, it was going right into that top corner, and obviously he gets a little bit unlucky with it hitting off the bar, but it was some strike. And I think, as Lee says, especially in the second half, Matondo, but especially from that point onwards, Matondo seemed to be a lot more livelier.
Lee, do you think, with Matondo, we know he can play. Maybe he's signed as a right winger, but he can play on that sort of inside forward role on the left hand side. And today with his performance, is the worry that maybe his best position is Brian Kent's position?
Well, people say that he is naturally a left wing, isn't he? Like, we brought him in, he was meant to be like a left winger who we've just moved over. But I think the way that Gio likes to set up his squads, and like you can tell even just by the signings, is we like players who can play a variety of positions. I think that's what makes us fluid in that sense, because you've got like Lawrence plays centre attacking mid, centre mid. He's also a left winger. Tillman, you've seen him be put out in the right wing, even if wasn't as effective in midweek. But I think Gio likes to have players who can play multiple positions, and it might be that his best position is left wing, but we've got an absolute stellar winger in Ryan Kent, and there's nothing wrong with Ryan Kent's having a bad game to bring in Matondo, who can then have a stellar game. So it's one of those ones. It's a shame if it is his best position, because you can't see him and Ryan Kent on the left wing at the same time. But it's a good problem to have if you have players who can play there and play anywhere, and they can still put in performances like that. So good problem to have. I mean,
Alex, are you agreeing with that? Especially the fact now here he is, the boss man.
Just a very quick update from the press conference, and then I'm going to go back because I'm not feeling too great. Gio has confirmed that Ryan Kent's absolutely fine for Tuesday. It was a case of giving him a rest and getting other players minutes on the park. So Ryan Kent will be fine for Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Martin. So there you go, exclusive from our man on the scene, Martin of the Rabble. I mean, just on Lee's point, is that also important now that we're starting to see a little bit more from Scott Wright as well, and just giving us more options.
Yeah, obviously Scott Wright seeing a little bit more from, and then obviously the competition with Matondo, who can play both wings quite fluently, is good. And it also means a day like today, where it could be a shaky start, it could turn into a hard game just because it's the low block, etc. We can go without Kent and have Matondo on the wing. No Kent needed, no Kent involved, and have two, like Lee said earlier, two strong performances from our wingers. It's just the whole. I mean, having squad rotation is huge. The depth that we have now is something that we lacked before, and then we saw that when we picked up injuries. I mean, for example, Morelos, Roof went out, and we end up in the European final with Joe Aribo up top. If we lost Kent, then you'd realistically at that point have to change formation, or Sakala was playing there, and then on the right we barely had Scott Wright because he didn't really play that much, and obviously we lost Yanis Hadji, who seemed to be Gio's favourite in that position, despite him being better in more of a 10 role as well. So it's good to have that flexibility and the ability to keep people guessing rather than absolutely know that Ryan Kent is going to be starting, especially for games like today. But again, it gives us a really strong front three for the big games.
Yeah, and just taking a quick second because we just started the second half, so I just wanted to remind everyone that's in the chat, if you could just like, subscribe, hit that bell. We're targeting getting our subscription base up, and everyone's been such a massive help for that. So we really appreciate it, guys. And if you could just continue doing what you're doing, we were absolutely just crazy appreciative of everything you guys do for us. So Lee. Just inside the second half, Lundstrom has a little run towards the edge of the box. Adam Montgomery again comes across, sort of barges him over on his way to goal. Free kick given. I mean, second yellow, surely.
See, for me, this was a second yellow. How close it is to the box, mate. Like, with an extra step, on balance, Lundstrom's getting a good shot away there. Like, there's barely anybody in front of him. Spaces kind of opened up, and it's just lazy from Montgomery in that sense, where he knows he's got the better of him, so he just kind of like clips him and brings him down. That's cynical. For me, that's a cynical foul, and that should have been a second yellow. Like, if you're going to be lenient in the first half, where like a kind of reckless lunge, give him only the yellow card in that sense, then you need to kind of be aware of the fact that this is a cynical foul. So for me, I'd have given him the second yellow, but I might be a wee bit biased. So.
Alex, I mean, do you agree? Because we're 3 games into the season here, and if we go back a couple of weeks ago, you've had the exact same thing with Kankar on Scott Wright, 2 bookable offences. Is this already a worry this early into the season with the standard of refereeing?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a worry. I mean, the standard of refereeing is a worry, but we all 12 clubs have to put up with it. What I would say is it was a red card. It was a second yellow for me. I don't think the fact that as Lee says, Lundstrom gets the better of him, and then he brings him down. He brings him down to stop Lundstrom getting that shot off. So that is, it's a tactical foul, so to speak, and there is intent in that. He has done it to foul him, to stop him from getting the shot away. That's a yellow card 10 times out of 10. So I don't know which time out of 10 the referee was seeing just now.
Yeah, and I think from this we Borna Barisic goes close to the free kick, but we just start ticking over. I think at this point we're starting to get into our range. 57 minutes, Tillman out on the right hand side, some amazing feet into Scott Wright, who I thought did so well, Lee, to sort of just skip past. It was almost 4 players in one. He skips past, puts it across. Looks like Kolak's going to score an absolute wonder volley. But a bit of an air swipe onto his arm. But at this point, are you just getting confident then that we're starting to get in behind a little bit and creating those half chances and this second crucial goal that we keep talking about killing teams off is on its way?
Yeah, the longer you went into the second half, like it was at 1-0, it's natural to feel a wee bit nervy, but with this game I didn't really feel much of the nerves. You've seen straight feel like the kick off the second half from a turn the screw. And then, like you're saying, the players, I think, been on the pitch for that long have started to kind of understand each other a bit more, gel. I'll be completely honest, when I put in the chat, this is the 10 minutes of the game that I kind of missed because my stream cut off, so I'm not really clued up on the actual shot. But say before and after, like from what I've seen before, what I've seen after, it was just kind of one-way traffic, mate. And then I literally just got it on, setting his Colak goal and scored. So it was a matter of time. It was a matter of time before the second one.
Yeah, well, as someone who I hope did still have a stream, Alex, what did you think? It was, it's just like Lee saying, is it these players now starting to get to know each other a lot better, and these little link ups are becoming a lot easier for them?
Yeah, and something that players always have confidence, but to have the team confidence is when you try stuff like that. And obviously Scott Wright does brilliant, and in all honesty, I think maybe Colak tries to do it the difficult way because he could have maybe taken a touch and done something easy, but who wants to see something easy? So he goes for it and maybe makes it look harder than it is, but I can't really talk because this guy is a professional footballer, and I'm sitting here on a podcast talking about him. So, no, they just seem to get they seem to get into the stride of things, and I mean we say this every single week. The team is looking better every single game. It's getting more of the idea Gio's tactical familiarness with the team and the team's familiarness with his tactics is starting to click, and it's looking a lot better for us.
Yeah, and I'll just stay with you there because, as you say, with the Colak maybe taking a touch, not long after Tillman's played, he's looked for that through ball because of Matondo's pace, which is good to see us start trying to use that a lot more. Doesn't quite make him, but Matondo never gives up on the ball. Throws in a great slide challenge, pings to Colak's feet, who just takes one touch control and bangs it in the back of the net. I mean, just a great goal all around, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, it did. It looked like Matondo kind of gave it up a little bit too easy, and as we talked about before, about him being lightweight or looking lightweight in certain tackles, and he will lose 50-50s, but his desire to go and win the ball back and not be fearful or shrug the shoulders and get back into position or whatever, he saw the opportunity to go and do it, and he did it, and obviously it falls brilliantly to Colak, who takes the first touch and finishes superbly. I mean, the keeper had no chance, and that's something that Colak does really well, is he is a one-touch, two-touch striker. He's in the right position, and I mean, even the one against Kilmarnock last week, he takes one touch and then slots it brilliantly into the corner. He does the same again today and leaves the goalkeeper with no chance. So the whole thing with Matondo is, like I said, the desire is absolutely there, and Colak just seems to be an out-and-out finisher, which is something that we've not really had for quite a while.
Yeah, Lee, I mean, with Colak, this stay there. He's that's 3 goals already. It should be 4 really, with the disallowed one he's had as well. Doesn't always show up, all game, but is he this sort of Chris Boyd-esque style striker that you just give him that chance and he'll put it away?
See, this is what I was thinking beforehand in terms of when was the last time we had like a pair of strikers who you could rely on? Like, we've got Morelos on the bench, whereas past couple of seasons, if it was Itten up front, you don't feel confident. I think that's kind of the perfect description of him, like that kind of Boyd-esque role, where he's not going to be somebody that sees himself all around the park, even though he is quite able at doing that as well. I think he's a wee bit more agile than Boyd was. But it's just, mate, it's so refreshing in that sense, where we have a striker that we can rely on to then turn to Morelos. In that sense, when he's coming back for injury, that would have never happened years ago. During the 55 season, I feel we had that in terms of the Defoe. Defoe is that kind of player who could pop up and just stick the ball in the net for these kind of half chances. And I feel like it was a half chance because it's a ball breaks them for Matondo's tackle, turns and leaves the keeper with no chance. And it's those type of strikers that you're going to need in games against these teams, because sometimes you might only get one chance like that, because when you're sitting 2 backs of 5, you might only get one break of the ball, and it's good to have a striker who can do that. So it's refreshing, mate. It's good to see that we've got that kind of balance now in the attack where we can change it if we need to.
Yeah, and Alex, I'm just going to bring this one up super quick. Dale says, can't see Yilmaz getting in ahead of Borna. I mean, personally, I thought Borna had an absolutely cracking game today. And we've talked about him being a confidence player. He was decent enough against USG as well, I thought. Is this, has Borna needed this? Has he needed this challenge from someone like Yilmaz to push him on?
Yeah, I mean, it will be a real eye opener for him. Sorry, I think even when we had obviously Bassi last season, it just pushed Borna further out. Once we went into Gio's back 5, especially in Europe, and there was always going to be opportunities because, especially with the lack of centre backs we had, and it just comes back to lack of squad depth. Having Yilmaz there, for the price, you're thinking we're bringing in a really good left back that is going to be first choice, but Borna is still there and now has to go and fight for his space. And the perfect time to go and prove himself it is just now, whilst Yilmaz is still settling. And then like you say, once Yilmaz is settled and fully fit, fully ready, it's Borna's position to lose if he keeps putting in performances like he did today. So it's good. It's the best way to have it is to have two very solid fullbacks, very solid left backs who are going to be competing for that spot, because hopefully all it means is they push each other on more.
Yeah, Neat, I mean, is it good to see that just because Yilmaz has come in with a big price tag that we haven't just gone, do you know what, this guy's got to play because we've spent this much money on him, when instead Borna's stepped forward and said, you know, take the shirt off me.
Like you're saying, spot on. It's good in that idea because we see the price tag and you easily jump to conclusions where this boy should be staying at the starting lineup. But fans can kind of forget that whole idea of coming from a different culture, coming from a different side. This boy, you know, like we're saying, completely different kind of atmosphere for him. And to be able to rely on like Bonner, who now has stepped it up so that he's not getting rushed in. It's the same way that we've said like all through the squad, like now where players are stepping up where the big players used to give them a break. Because like we're saying today, Kent could have been a worry that he didn't start, but Matondo comes in and has a stellar game. We would have missed Morelos in the previous seasons. Colak had again another fantastic game, and Bonner's fitted into that as well. Bonner stepped up to the challenge, and it could just may well be, mate, that it's the first time that he feels that he is really threatened, because the boy has come in with a big kind of like expectation. We signed him for what, 4 million? It's a big outlay in our game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a good thing that, you know, that he doesn't have to feel rushed into this, because when Yilmaz started against Kilmarnock, you could see he was a bit shaky. You're like, and that's understandable. It's his first game. Like I'd be absolutely petrified, mate, playing at Ibrox my first game, where they half as good as him. So the fact that he can be shaky, but then Bonner comes back in and I thought Bonner was brilliant today, like you were saying. Just it makes it so much easier to implement him into the squad somewhere down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm just looking at this edit sort of notes I've made around the game. I think around this time in the game, we were just sort of camped in their half. Alex, not much is happening. I think they've gone into damage limitation mode. Over the next sort of 10 minutes, we've made the 5 subs over sort of 10, 11 minutes of Arfield, Lawrence, Morelos, Kamara, and King. It was very good to see him come on. And then sort of not long after the second set of substitutions, Jack wins the ball, and then exactly what I've been hoping we receive is we win the ball high up, and the first thing we're doing is feeding in Matondo, whose pace just absolutely rips defence apart. I thought maybe he was going to pass to Morelos and he'd taken an extra touch that he didn't need to, but he kept his composure to just slot in Arfield instead, and you know, Arfield does what he does from the bench and puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that we can't underestimate is how good Arfield can be. I mean, he gets a goal and assist today, and he had the goal against Livingston. So in 3 sub appearances in the league, he's got 3 goal contributions. It's very, very convincing, and it's good to have. I mean, I was one of those people who wouldn't have preferred that extra year deal that he got, but I mean, he's going to be somebody who's in and around the team, somebody who's going to be getting contributions and not having to play 90 every single week, but then also helping players, you know, such as Lundstrom, such as, you know, your likes of Lawrence, your likes of Tillman, who can come off the pitch then and have a rest, and especially when we're playing two games a week, and hopefully with the high standard of Champions League football, players are going to need a rest, especially against teams such as St Johnstone, who, I mean, as we say, Adam Montgomery should have got sent off today for a couple of shocking tackles, or a shocking tackle and then a push as well. There will be intent from these guys, because they know if they go out and hurt you, then you can't do too much about it. So it's good to have players like Arfield, and obviously Matondo does really well for that goal. Arfield's positioning is brilliant, and the fact that we fed Matondo, the fact that his pace, I mean, I thought he did really well to take it round the goalkeeper and then not just see tunnel vision and have a shot, because it was a really tight angle. He takes the second touch to compose himself and find Arfield well, who slots it home. And you know, I mean, not that the game wasn't over before that, but puts it all beyond all doubt.
Yeah, and Lee, I mean, just highlighting the importance of being able to bring on so much quality, especially with the new 5 sub rule.
Mm-hmm. So the key for me with these ones is, like, for me, Arfield is a sub. Like, I don't think he's as effective when he starts games these days but that's where we're at now with the squad, where we talk about the squad depth, where Arfield's the perfect player to come on 60 minutes, where there's a defence already tiring, and his runs are absolutely crucial. We saw that today, like pops up in the box with a goal, the assist for Lawrence. Look at other players, bring Stephen Davis into the equation, like he's the kind of guy who controls the midfield once you need the midfield controlled, maybe in the second half. And I think that's where the biggest difference is this year, is we were all craving that kind of refresh of the squad, and we've got it to a level now where it's a refresh where you know the subs that you have are going to be effective. You're not looking to the bench and thinking, who can we bring on here? We all scream for Arfield to be an impact sub because we know that's what he kind of is now, and time again he does it. And having the 5 sub rule feels like a bit of a cheat code for us, mate, now with the squad that we've got, because you have all those kind of options, like you're saying, probably we'll be back in the starting lineup soon enough, but imagine you're a defender and you're looking to the bench and seeing Morelos come off at 70 minutes. You're thinking, like, well, what am I meant to do here? I've just been ran ragged by his apparent understudy. I wasn't sure how I was feeling about the season beforehand, because you're thinking there is a lot of things to bed in, but I think Gio is now maybe 1 or 2 away, maybe 1 from having the perfect balanced squad.
Yeah, and I mean, Alex, just going off the back of Lee's point there with the subs and how much of an impact they can have. I mean, literally 2-3 minutes later, we've put this ball in behind that Tav's got to. He just has to sort of go away from goal. Sort of a short ball. I think the defender gets maybe a touch on it, but Arfield sort of the wherewithal to get to it quickly and drill it across goal. And I mean, it's a great first time finish, but again, Arfield substitute, brilliant performance, and then to another substitute, Tom Lawrence, who, you know, I'm sure everyone wanted to start, but still showing that he can come off the bench and make an impact.
Yeah, and a good one-time finish as well. But the build up again, there's a lot of times where that can turn sloppy, or especially being 3-0 up a game, it can be a bit complacent. Arfield could have gone for goal himself, because you know sometimes that happens at that scoreline at that time in the game. So for his composure to then let him, you know, go and find Lawrence, who, as I say, doesn't even really have time to look up with the ball coming in at that pace, and he finishes, he tucks it away brilliantly with just one touch, is really good news for us. And it keeps that one of our less, especially in-depth positions last season after losing Yanis Hadji, was our attacking midfielder role, and obviously Joe Rebo having to play a little bit further forward with the lack of strikers, it meant that we didn't really have anybody there. So now having Malik Tillman, having Tom Lawrence, having an impact of Arfield, you know, Alex Lowry is going to be in contention with this squad very soon, and obviously Yanis Hadji will eventually be adding to that. It looks now like one of our strongest positions.
Yeah, Martin's just bringing out. I'm just about to select a different one, and he's bringing out that one for you, Alex. So there you go. I can just see him chuckling away in the background as well. I wanted to bring up this one, Lee. About times we put teams to bed. Is that? I mean, that's such a massive thing. You know, we moaned about it last season so much, and is that? How relieving is that for you to just not have to worry about the rest of the game? That 1-0, that we start getting a bit edgy in our play. Instead, we just attack, 2-0 attack, 3-0 attack, and we just go out and kill it.
It's the efficiency we saw during the 55 season for me. Those were the kind of games where you always kind of knew the second, third goals were coming. We were all kind of screaming for it to come out again another week, where we felt we were a bit kind of slow. But that, based on that today, that was just more we're trying to still get up to speed. Because I still don't think we're at top speed yet, mate, with this team. I think there's still a lot more gears to come from them. That was reminiscent for me today of like a performance during that season where we just knew how to kill a game off. Like, because we have kind of PSV in the back of your minds for Tuesday, and everyone's wanting the games to be killed off, get some players on, get minutes. And it's not as easy as that when you're at home against teams who just want to defend. So it's a promising sign, because we've now got the players, like we were saying, in those attacking midfield positions who can kill these games off. Like, you've got all the different variety where there's going to be teams where worrying women else is going to pop up, if Lawrence is going to have a long shot, you know, just all that. And I feel that tire team is out mentally to the point where we now can be more ruthless in front of goal, because they're, you know, they don't know really focus. They don't know really actually focus on the players.
Yeah, and Alex, does it just change the dynamic a little bit? Just bringing on different players. You know, Morelos is not the same striker as Colak. Lawrence offers something different. Arfield offers something different with his late runs. Is it just having that dynamism to change the game up and even at 2-0, still look for different routes to goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that whole refresh and something that you have if you have two players of the same ability is if it's working and only if it's working you bring somebody else on that's the exact same, they're probably going to be able to read them more than if it's working and then you bring somebody completely different on and they've tried all game to figure out what the first person is doing, what Colak's doing, and then you bring Morelos on who's a crazy madman and doesn't, there's no way they can predict what he's going to do. Anyways, they're going to be 2 steps further behind than they would be if you're playing the exact same way. And then going the other way is if we were playing and weren't breaking them down, we now have an option to go and break teams down, to go and change it up and allow a different strategy, such as the target man that is Colak, the one-touch finisher who doesn't need a lot, such as Lawrence, who can provide long shots, goals from range. Malik Tillman is a very skillful player, very dynamic, athletic, good in the air. We have loads of different threats now. It's not one-dimensional.
Yeah, and we're just finishing up on the game, and again, I was just going to touch on this refereeing thing purely because I actually want to know the rule for this. We said that St Johnstone, they didn't really offer anything apart from that one chance in the first half, but sort of in the 90th minute, they're probably the only time they come near our box in the second half league. Nick Walsh sort of tackles Phillips, I think, on the edge of the box for St Johnstone, and somehow he doesn't give anything, and we actually break up the park. I mean, what's your understanding of that? Because I thought if the ref interferes in any ways, it's supposed to be a drop ball.
I think the ref's just that point, mate. It's like the game's over. Let's just continue the game and get the ref the whistle blown as quickly as they can. I think he's trying to show a wee bit of leniency to just Johnston and just let them finish the game. It was a wee bit of a strange one because, I mean, if any ref interference, that should be, a drop ball at least to the team that he's interfered with. Yeah. I can only really probably see it as how late it was in the game, and he's thought there's absolutely nothing really to do with it. Or maybe he's just thinking that he's not been controversial enough from when he carried out to be a wee bit busy tonight. So maybe that's what he's just thinking. He's going to give something to them to actually claim a conspiracy against. But it was a weird one. He probably should have gave the drop ball, but he's probably just in the mindset, mate. It's too late. It's too late in the game to care.
Yeah, it's fair enough. So 4-0 win, Alex. I think it's hard to say who's a standout. I think everyone's a standout at that point. But I just wanted to get your opinion on some of the newer lads. Ben Davies, for example. What did you make of Davies?
I thought he was all right. I thought he was consistent. Obviously he has the scare in the first half that leads to their chance when he misses the header. But apart from that, he looked assured. It's hard to judge him on that because he wasn't really challenged. But it could give him a little bit of momentum and a little bit of confidence going into the game on Tuesday. So hopefully
I just see him laughing away in the background, like. Sorry, Alex. That's Martin absolutely dying in the background over that comment as well. Look. What about you? I mean, for me, he looked quite calm and composed on the ball, which is what we're going to need from a centre back anyway, and especially the advantage of him being left-footed.
I can compose, mate. Like Alex is saying, there's going to be harder challenges for him. It's going to be quite hard to judge his defensive capabilities in a game where he barely had to defend. But for what we've seen, he looked composed. It's good to kind of just see him get minutes in the legs. We're crying out for kind of that natural left-footed centre-back to come into the squad to complement Goldson, even though I believe that Sands has been brilliant in that position. So it's, again, one of those good headaches to have. I've not really got much to say on his performance, just purely for the fact of how dominant we were.
I can't believe this has become a conversation in the comments. This is ridiculous. Martin's just chuckling away.
I'm not part of it, though. I'm not part of it.
No, you can't be, mate. Not with that beast, eh? That's the problem.
Clear, mate. Absolute clear.
So we're just about the end, I think. I think between us, Alex, we got the result and goal score. I think you had 3-0 Tillman, didn't you? And I had 4-0 Tav. So if you mix ours together today, guys, you would have had some good odds. Who was man of the match for you, Alex?
JD's comment there is throwing me off. Rabi Matondo was man of the match for me. Yeah.
What about you, Lee? Same.
If I've been boring, I'd probably say so for his second half performance alone. But I'll switch up and I'll say Lundstrom, mate. I thought just controls the middle of the park, and I think if you do that, then you're on to a winner. So I'll go with Lundstrom.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough, and be interesting to see everyone else's if people can tear themselves away from the poor facial hair comments, but we could get some man of the match predictions, man of the match opinions in the comments. But yeah, so apart from that, guys, I think that will do us. 4-0, great performance, and then on to Tuesday, PSV. Alex, what's your? I mean, obviously we're gonna have a pod on it, but what's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, today and the last couple of results, obviously a massive result against USG, a decent result against Kilmarnock, and then a big result again today with a much better performance as well. It's building a lot of momentum for what's coming, and a huge game against PSV. We're obviously not used to being home in the first leg. The last time it happened was Red Star Belgrade, and we put 3 past them, which gave us a lot of leeway for the second leg. And if we go and do that against PSV, then we'll be looking at a very good place.
And you, Lee, you confident going ahead to Ibrox on Tuesday?
I mean, I think the way we played in Europe recently at home, I'd be confident against anybody. I'm aware of the step up in quality. I think it probably will be a high scoring tie overall. From watching maybe our kind of defence capabilities in terms of crossing, like balls over the top, we maybe struggle a wee bit. But for anything I've seen in PSV, I think they're the exact same. I watched their games against Monaco, and they were getting done by the long ball quite a lot. So it's one of those ones where I think it will be a battle of the attacks, mate. I would think 3-1 was at Ibrox, I'm confident, and then just probably survive over there, hopefully.
So yeah, just it's a lot of momentum as well for us to take into Tuesday, and let's say hopefully we're going to get the right result. As as always, we'll have the pre and post match pods to go with it, and I'm sure Martin is going to get us on a Monday phone in so everyone can get their opinions on them. Unfortunately, we only had only one call I think on Friday, guys. So you got up your game a little bit and sort of absolutely hammer those phone lines to keep Martin busy, especially after all his little what he thinks his jokes today. But that's going to be it from us. So I'll just say bye to Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
And bye to Lee.
Pleasure having you, mate. Thank you.
And to everyone else, if you could just keep liking, subscribe, notification bell, comments, because they all help, especially afterwards. If you're going to watch it back, leave some comments, because Martin spends all his time going through every single comment and replying to them. It's pretty much his life, so he'll absolutely love that. Cheers, guys. We'll catch you next time.